For 4 seasons, we watched the story of a bitter old man who built an empire, his desperate children fighting for his approval, and enough F-bombs to make HBO proud. The backstabbing, the power plays, the cruelly perfect insults. Succession had it all. Every week, we learned lessons on how wealth and power corrupt even the closest family bonds. Whether you missed the whole thing or just need a refresher, I'm taking you through the entire story of Succession. No HBO subscription required. Chapter 1. The Roy Dynasty Begins, Season 1. Logan Roy is a media tycoon, owner of the mega corporation Waystar Royco. It's a global empire with movie studios, a Fox News-like network called ATN, theme parks, and just about everything else that makes money. Logan built it all himself, crushing enemies and sometimes friends along the way. On his 80th birthday, he's supposedly ready to retire and hand the company over to his son, Kendall. And so, you've prepared your whole life for something. And right when you're about to get it, your dad says, "Actually, I changed my mind." That's exactly what happens. Kendall had spent years cleaning up his act. He beat a drug addiction, tried to save his failing marriage, and learned every aspect of the business. He even put together a major deal to acquire a digital media company called Vaulter. All the pieces were in place for his coronation as CEO. Logan calls a family meeting and drops the bomb. He's not retiring after all. With Kendall no longer the heir apparent, his siblings start eyeing the throne themselves. It's like Game of Thrones, but with expensive suits instead of swords. Kendall Roy, the second-born son, is a recovering drug addict who desperately wants to prove himself. Siobhan, Shiv, Roy, the only daughter, works in politics and doesn't even want the company. Or so she claims. Roman Roy, the youngest son, is immature, inappropriate, and secretly smarter than everyone thinks. And then there's Connor Roy, the oldest from Logan's first marriage, who lives in a fantasy world where he's qualified to be president of the United States. Hovering around the edges are Tom Wamsgans, Shiv's ambitious fiancé who comes from middle-class America and is desperate to join the billionaire club. Tom heads Waystar's Parks division and will do absolutely anything to climb the corporate ladder. He's both pathetic and ruthless, a dangerous combination. And don't forget Cousin Greg, a bumbling outsider who starts the series by getting fired from a theme park job for vomiting inside a mascot costume. He shows up at Logan's door broke and desperate. Greg is tall, awkward, and seemingly clueless, but underneath that bumbling exterior is a surprisingly savvy operator who somehow keeps failing upward through the company ranks. We also meet Logan's third wife, Marcia, fiercely protective of her husband and instantly suspicious of his children's motives. She's one of the few people who can actually stand up to Logan, though even she has her limits. The game changes when Logan suffers a stroke in a bathroom, collapsing in front of his family. The mighty king is suddenly vulnerable, and Kendall steps in as temporary CEO. It's a baptism by fire. The company's facing huge debt problems, and investors are panicking. The stock price starts dropping, which could trigger loan defaults and sink the entire empire. Kendall partners with his finance bro friend Stewie to save it, not realizing Stewie is secretly working with Logan's business rival, Sandy Furness. The two provide emergency capital to keep Waystar afloat, but now they own a significant chunk of the company. While all this is happening, Logan's recovery is touch and go. The family gathers at the hospital, pretending to care while actually jockeying for position. Roman makes inappropriate jokes. Shiv distances herself from the corporate drama. Connor philosophizes about cryogenics and preserving their dad's body. But Logan Roy isn't going down that easily. He recovers faster than expected and returns to the office with vengeance in his eyes. He starts undermining Kendall at every turn, challenging his decisions and making him look weak in front of the board. It's not just business. It's deeply personal. Kendall's not taking this lying down. He organizes a vote of no confidence to kick his dad out of the company. But on the day of the vote, traffic keeps Kendall from reaching the meeting in person. Without him physically there, everyone chickens out. Logan wins round 1 and fires everyone who sided with Kendall. Meanwhile, Tom and Greg stumble onto a massive scandal that will echo throughout the entire series. After Tom's promotion to head of Waystar's cruise division, he discovers boxes of documents revealing a horrifying history: sexual harassment, assault, and even murder cover-ups involving foreign workers on their cruise ships. The company used the code NRPI, no real person involved, to dismiss victims who weren't Americans or Europeans. Tom panics. As the new department head, he could be legally responsible for crimes that happened before his time. Instead of reporting it, he orders Greg to destroy the evidence, making him burn documents in an abandoned warehouse. It's Greg's first real taste of the corrupt corporate world he's entered. Greg, being smarter than he looks, secretly keeps copies of some documents. "I'm just hedging," he tells Tom later, revealing his insurance policy. Tom is horrified, but also impressed at Greg's unexpected cunning. This moment plants the seed for what will become one of the show's most fascinating relationships. The bizarre, sometimes abusive, sometimes tender bond between Tom and Greg. The season climaxes at Shiv and Tom's wedding. Roman's satellite launch literally explodes. Shiv confesses to Tom she's been cheating on him, but wants to stay together anyway. And Kendall, working with Stewie and Logan's business rival Sandy, prepares to launch a hostile takeover. After a confrontation with his dad, Kendall goes looking for drugs with a young waiter from the wedding. They crash into a lake and Kendall escapes while the waiter drowns. The next morning, Logan reveals he knows everything and has covered it up. But now, he owns Kendall completely. A broken Kendall returns to his father's side like a wounded animal, setting up one of TV's most twisted father-son relationships. Chapter 2, The Game Intensifies, Seasons 2 to 3. Season 2 opens with a completely broken Kendall. After causing a young man's death and having his father cover it up, he's an empty shell following his dad's orders like a robot. The once ambitious heir is now just a puppet sent to clean up messes and deliver rehearsed lines. We see just how low he's sunk when Logan makes him go on TV to apologize for his takeover attempt. Reading from a script his father approved, Kendall robotically says, "I saw their plan, and my dad's plan was better." The interviewer pushes him on whether he ever truly believed in his own plan. Kendall's dead-eyed response, "I was high." It's painful to watch. Behind the scenes, Kendall's barely hanging on. He's using drugs again, disappearing for days and contemplating suicide. In one heartbreaking scene, he stands on a hotel balcony, looking down and considering jumping. Logan's security team is tasked with following him everywhere, not just to keep tabs on him, but to make sure he doesn't harm himself. Logan uses his son's guilt and misery to his advantage, turning Kendall into his personal attack dog. When Logan needs something unpleasant done, firing longtime employees or delivering bad news, he sends Kendall to do it. Logan calls another family meeting. The question that begs is, should they sell the company for billions or keep fighting? During private conversations with each kid, Logan secretly promises Shiv she'll be the next CEO. She quits her political job and joins Waystar, expecting to be announced as the successor any day now. But Logan keeps moving the goalposts. He's testing Shiv, throwing challenges at her to see if she'll break. Roman, meanwhile, starts training under company counsel Jerry, forming a strange mentorship with sexual undertones. Yes, it's as weird as it sounds. Logan's big plan is to expand Waystar by buying their news competitor, Pierce Global Media. The Roy family visits the Pierce estate for a weekend, pretending to be functional humans. It almost works until Logan refuses to name his successor when asked directly. Shiv stands up and announces it will be her, revealing the secret arrangement and infuriating her father. Just when the Pierce deal seems ready to close, disaster strikes. The cruise scandal breaks in the press. A magazine publishes an expose on the company's cover-ups. Fortunately for the Roys, the story only focuses on one executive, the conveniently deceased Mo Lester McClintock, not the systemic problems Greg's documents would reveal. Still, it's enough to send the company into crisis mode. The Pierces, with their proud liberal tradition, get cold feet about selling to a company mired in sexual misconduct allegations. The deal collapses at a business conference called Our Jests, where Logan, Kendall, and Shiv make a desperate last-minute pitch. In the fallout, Logan brings in Rhea Jariel, the former Pierce CEO, as an advisor. She quickly becomes more than that, Logan's new girlfriend. This development irritates his wife Marcia, who begins to distance herself from Logan. It also infuriates the Roy children, who see Rhea as manipulating their father. Rhea is smart and cunning, quickly learning how to play the Roy family game. She positions herself as a potential CEO candidate, something Logan encourages to keep his children competing. When Shiv directly asks her father if he's considering Rhea as CEO, Logan responds with his signature non-answer. Everyone's a candidate. With the Department of Justice investigating the cruise scandal, the Roys go to Washington for Senate hearings. Tom completely falls apart on the stand, but the family manages to intimidate a key witness into backing out. The scandal's contained for now, but someone still needs to take the fall. The family retreats to Logan's massive yacht in the Mediterranean to decide who gets sacrificed. What follows is one of the show's most brutal sequences, a sick game of musical chairs where everyone nominates someone else for career execution. Logan starts by offering himself as the sacrifice, knowing full well no one will accept it. Roman nominates Frank, the longtime company executive. Shiv suggests Tom, her own husband, shocking everyone with her ruthlessness. Connor offers himself up for $100 million, a suggestion that's quickly dismissed. After this cruel debate, Logan pulls Kendall aside and tells him he'll be the scapegoat. "You're not a killer," Logan tells his son. "You have to be a killer." The implication is clear. Kendall doesn't have what it takes to lead Waystar because he's too weak, too sentimental. It's the final crushing blow. Kendall accepts his fate and flies to New York for the press conference where he'll take the fall. Cousin Greg accompanies him with the prepared statement. But something changes in Kendall during that flight. Maybe it's his father's "not a killer" comment, or maybe it's just years of abuse finally reaching a breaking point. When Kendall steps to the microphones, he doesn't follow the script. Instead, he delivers the season's jaw-dropping finale. "The truth is, my father is a malignant presence, a bully and a liar, and he was fully personally aware of these events for many years." He reveals that Cousin Greg has documents proving Logan knew about the cruise crimes all along. Back on the yacht, Logan watches the betrayal unfold on TV and, surprisingly, smiles. Is it pride that his son finally showed some killer instinct? Or just appreciation for a worthy opponent? Season 2 ends without answering, leaving viewers stunned. Season 3 kicks off with all-out war between Kendall and Logan. Kendall tries to recruit his siblings to his side, but they stick with Dad. The company temporarily removes Logan as CEO while dealing with the DOJ investigation, naming General Counsel Jerry as the interim boss. Roman rises in his father's estimation by securing a deal with tech founder Lucas Matson and courting controversial right-wing presidential candidate Jared Mencken. Shiv feels increasingly sidelined despite her president title, and Tom offers to take the fall and go to prison, hoping to finally earn Logan's respect. As Logan pressures the president to back off the investigation, Kendall's crusade starts falling apart. Initially, he's riding high, hiring PR teams, giving interviews, and styling himself as a champion of corporate accountability. He's in his manic phase, thinking he's finally going to win. But the cracks start showing. His big DOJ testimony flops when the government realizes his evidence isn't as damning as promised. His siblings mockingly call him woke star Royko for his sudden interest in social justice. Even his own PR team struggles to manage his increasingly erratic behavior. Things come to a head at Kendall's lavish 40th birthday party, a sad, self-indulgent spectacle that costs millions but feels hollow. He creates a bizarre art installation featuring a tree with his siblings' faces and builds a replica of his mother's vagina for guests to walk through. Yes, really. At this same party, Logan sends Roman to deliver a brutal offer: $2 billion for Kendall's shares on the condition he cuts all ties with the family. It's not just a business deal, it's exile. Kendall pretends to consider it, but the offer crushes what little spirit he has left. As his grand plans collapse around him, Kendall spirals into depression. He lies curled on the floor of his penthouse, surrounded by empty bottles and drug paraphernalia. His assistants try to rouse him for meetings, but he's given up. In one particularly dark moment, he's found face down in a swimming pool, leaving viewers to wonder if he tried to end it all. The season reaches its climax at Caroline's wedding in Italy. Matson proposes buying Waystar instead of being acquired, offering Logan a massive payout. When the three siblings learn their father is selling their birthright, they finally unite against him. Kendall confesses to Roman and Shiv about the dead waiter, and they comfort him, a rare moment of genuine sibling connection. Armed with company veto power from their parents' divorce agreement, they race to stop the deal. But they're too late. Tom has betrayed Shiv, warning Logan about their plan. Logan has already renegotiated with their mother to strip them of their veto rights. The season ends with the three siblings utterly defeated, and Tom positioning himself as Logan's new favorite. Chapter 3. The final chapter, Season 4. The fourth and final season begins with the Roy siblings working together for once. Planning to start their own media company using money from the Waystar sale, they set their sights on buying Pierce, outbidding their father. Logan, meanwhile, plans to keep the ATN News network after selling Waystar to Mattson. He installs Tom as the network boss with Greg as his right-hand man. Shiv and Tom are separated, though she's secretly pregnant with his child. Just as the siblings are succeeding in their Pierce acquisition, shocking news arrives. Logan Roy is dead. His sudden death on a flight to meet Mattson changes everything. The three siblings are devastated despite their complicated relationship with him. With Logan gone, Kendall and Roman become co-CEOs to shepherd the company through its sale to Mattson. But power quickly goes to their heads. The brothers start enjoying running the company and secretly plot to kill the Mattson deal, leaving Shiv out of these discussions. Sensing she's being sidelined, Shiv aligns herself with Mattson while trying to repair her broken marriage with Tom. Kendall and Roman use ATN's influence to help elect Mencken as president, hoping he'll block the Waystar sale on regulatory grounds. As Kendall's delusions of grandeur grow, the tensions between the siblings reach a breaking point. Mattson decides he doesn't want Shiv as his American CEO after all, preferring a puppet he can control. He secretly offers the position to Tom instead. In the series finale, Greg learns of Tom's offer and tells Kendall. The siblings band together one last time to block the sale at the board meeting. They all agree to support Kendall as CEO if they can kill the deal. But in the final vote, Shiv has a change of heart. Seeing Kendall's dangerous obsession with power, reminiscent of their father, she votes to sell the company. Roman sides with her, telling Kendall the hard truth. The company is bullshit. We are bullshit. It's time to move on. Kendall is left devastated, having lost everything he's ever wanted. Tom becomes CEO of the American division of Mattson's company, with Greg still by his side. Shiv and Tom attempt to reconcile despite their toxic history, and Roman walks away, seemingly relieved to be free of his father's shadow. In the end, nobody really wins. The Roy children get billions of dollars but lose their purpose and identity. What began as a battle for their father's throne concludes with the realization that the throne itself was always empty, a symbol of power that corrupted everyone who sought it. Looking back at the series, it's remarkable how consistent the themes were from beginning to end. Logan Roy was right when he told his children in Season 1, "You're not serious people." They weren't. They were products of extreme wealth and privilege, playing at being executives without understanding the ruthlessness required to succeed in that world. Only Tom, the outsider from Minnesota who married into wealth, had the hunger and desperation to do whatever it took. While the Roy siblings were fighting over their birthright, Tom was quietly making himself indispensable, enduring humiliation after humiliation, all while keeping his eyes on the prize. Succession's brilliance was in making us care about these objectively terrible people. We rooted for Kendall despite his many failures. We laughed with Roman despite his cruelty. We admired Shiv's cunning even as she betrayed everyone around her. And somehow, we even developed a soft spot for Cousin Greg, who turned out to be one of the most Machiavellian characters of all. The show never shied away from showing the ugliness of wealth and power. The Roy family's money insulated them from consequences, allowed them to ruin lives on a whim, and corrupted every relationship they touched. Their conversations about politics treated democratic institutions as toys to be played with. Their discussions about news coverage viewed truth as malleable and ratings as the only real goal. And through it all, creator Jesse Armstrong maintained a perfect balance of drama and dark comedy. Some of the show's most emotional moments were immediately undercut by absurd humor, like when the siblings finally bond over Kendall's confession about the waiter's death, only for Roman to respond, "Who cares? It was just one waiter." That's the entire story of Succession, a modern Shakespearean tragedy about wealth, power, and a family too broken to ever truly love each other. Despite all their money and influence, the Roys never found what they were really looking for: genuine connection and their father's approval. The show ended perfectly after 4 seasons, never overstaying its welcome or diluting its impact. It won countless Emmy Awards, created cultural touchstones that will be referenced for years, and cemented HBO's reputation for creating television that pushes boundaries while maintaining exceptional quality. Now you're caught up on one of the greatest TV dramas ever made, full of quotable insults, power plays, and family dynamics so twisted, they'd make your Thanksgiving dinner look like a peaceful utopia. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time.